Welcome back to Exodus 214, and today I wanted to share a Reddit post concerning a guy that called his wife of 10 years cheating. And since we always like to talk about sociology, psychology, and how people react to certain scenarios, so we can see if we can agree or we have our own opinion on the matter, I'm going to read it, we're going to go through it, and we're going to analyze and break it down step by step. So I'm going to open the screen right here, and then you can look along, read along if you want to, or otherwise just sit back, relax, and listen. So I caught my wife of 10 years cheating red-handed. This was posted like almost a full day ago. My twin, so he's like 28-year-old, and then his wife is also 28 years old. He cheated on me with another man, and I called her. Well, thank God it was another man, right? Because these days you never know. That's kind of like a classic, but still better that it's a man and the humiliation is less. Um, so a week ago, she started hanging out with some new girlfriends who I never met, and from the first, I got a gnarly gut feeling something was off. I wanted to respect her space and let her have girl time. She even told me there were no boys due to one of them recently being cheated on and not wanting to be around men. Haha. Well, okay, the first part is already a red flag. If your wife feels the need to hang out with girlfriends you do not know anything about, that means that they're probably going to do stuff or talk about stuff or have something to share that doesn't concern you or you shouldn't be aware of. It's kind of like instead of being in an inner circle, being in an outer circle. Because if there would be people that would be your friends as well or your acquaintances, then they might slip and let something drop at some point in time and snitch. And if they don't know you or you don't know them, then it's not likely to happen. So that's kind of like protecting her from anything spilling out what happened or what they're talking about or what they're willing to share. Okay, so then the first girl time day, I let her have fun, but the second time, this last Wednesday, I wanted to go to the arcade they were at to surprise them with a round of drinks, then piss off and go play some games. Okay, that's just the regular. When I walked up to the bar, I saw her and a guy holding each other, kissing. My heart sunk like an anchor. Okay, so something like that is never excusable. How are you going to explain yourself? How are you going to tell, oh, it was just a friendly kiss, we're just playing, or I was drunk, I was experimenting, or we're in the mood? No strings attached. This is kind of also a way if the guy would tolerate it in a sense of give her a second chance, that would mean that she would even propose to enter into a open marriage, open relationship slash open marriage. That's how far people are willing to take it these days. Why? Because it's being brought up front and center that, well, this is acceptable, this is normal, this shouldn't even be questioned because it's also part of human nature and we should just accept it. And if you really care and you truly love a person, then you shouldn't even challenge it. So this could also be a scenario. I confronted him and asked the guy if he knew she was married. He hung his head in shame and all. Of course he knew. Of course he knew. I mean, that's the thing. That's the whole thrill, right? It's the infidelity thrill gets even higher. The dopamine that comes out of it when you know you're doing something wrong and bad, and it just brings you on a high. The piece of crap knew it. She admits outright when I said, "So you've been cheating on me?" That yes, she's had. The guy tried to butt in, and I shot him a glare that could off him, and he left. Well, you gotta know his place, right? He has nothing to say that can justify his actions, stealing another woman's wife or tempting her to do stuff. I don't know, it can be vice versa. It depends. He can have been seduced, but the fact that he participated, being aware of it, that makes it even worse. Because otherwise, yeah, you can say, okay, yeah, he didn't know or she lied. Okay, so probably wouldn't have done it. That drive home alone was, I'll just say, I should not have drove. I was stone sober, but I tried the whole way and even had to pull over for a brief but heavy panic attack. Yeah, because it's getting, it's starting to sink in. You're starting to face reality, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? Where we go from here? There's so much going through my mind. There's so much emotions I'm feeling. How can I address it in a way that we get it resolved, right? She said, I didn't love her enough. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna highlight it briefly for a specific reason. When when a woman in this scenario says, you do not love me enough, that means that first of all, the communication wasn't that great to begin with. Second of all, they're not really compatible in certain aspects of the relationship, because not enough means that you're giving all the essentials, taking care, taking time, listening, sharing, giving money, love, affection, all that stuff, like the basics. A lot of women these days in the West, at least how I experience it as well, they would say, yeah, yeah, it's good, it's proper, that's what a relationship be like. I'm happy with that. I mean, that's what I want. But then where does it end? It has to be more, and it's never enough. So that shows that we're dealing with a narcissist, or in this situation, probably a covert narcissist. This type of a demand, and you not being able to keep up with it, gives her the reason and an excuse to go astray and to look for it elsewhere. That's how they justify. That's how narcissists justify their infidelity, their disloyalty, their cheating, because you can't provide them with what they need to be happy in a relationship. Then they're gonna look for it somewhere else. It's like you have plenty of time to change or to do more, but if you don't, then that's excusable to be doing, because then they're gonna extract it from someone else, because it's about their needs, only their needs. Okay, that I didn't give her enough attention or affection, that my depression and stress had been ruining our marriage. Okay, so a man with depression ruins a marriage just because a guy that is again proof of narcissism. It's not about the person needing healing, help, reassurance, like anything as in the sense of support to be a better person so the relationship can even become stronger. No, it's about, okay, you're not giving me what I want during that time. You're being selfish, you're being an a-hole, you're being disconnected, emotionally neglectful, so I'm just going to look for fun elsewhere because it's just boring. I was so stressed because I regularly have to work two jobs. Okay, here we go again. Here we go. Well, she refused to work more than part-time. Maybe she's right, but then she should have left me. That's the thing, that's the thing. They will always use you as a doormat. You're basically just there to entertain them, so that they're occupied, so they're not alone. Narcissists don't like to be alone, and even if the relationship sucks, at least they have you for fun time, and then they can still broaden their options. We don't have kids, of course not. That's, thank God you don't have kids. We aren't well off. I make maybe 50K a year, so not well off. Well, maybe not according to American standards, but to me, that I wish I had 50K a year, so we could buy, but not buy much. The only thing we have are some pets. Sure, pets, that's like substitution to children. Sure, I would have heard, but nothing like this. The physical pain from all of this is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. She's moving in with this guy. That hurts even more. Yeah, of course. Instead of a slap to your face, is an uppercut. As much as I hate her, I can't bear the thought of losing her. That's the problem with narcissists, of course. They have you in their control. She was my world, so you were an orbiter in that sense. Yeah, maybe I didn't cuddle her enough, or that's not what it's about. She meant everything to me. She was my best friend. She's leaving by the end of the month, and even after all of this, the thought of saying goodbye and never seeing her again, or at least never seeing her in the same way, is the worst pain I've endured. My eyes hurt from crying. I love her, but I hate her for doing this to me. I feel frustrated. I don't know how I'll ever get over this. I don't know what to expect from posting this, but I think just need to get it off my chest. And then he edited slightly as well. Thank you all for your supportive words. Some of it hurts to read, but mostly are true. Well, when men voice their opinion, it's just straightforward, unfiltered, and just to help you out, just to point the pure facts. I'm hoping some of the best days are ahead of me. Of course, it can't get worse. It will be better. Edit two, I should have clarified we've been together for 10 years, married for 6. Okay, 6 out of the 10 years been married. That's long, according to the day standards. Felt clumsy for clarifying the title, forgot to add it in the story because, yeah, it gives the impression of being married 10 years. To be clear, she had to brought up before about my lack of affection, attention, how much my stress and impression were an issue to her. So that shows the narcissistic aspect in this. Whether you're suffering in pain, hurting, that's your problem. That's not relevant. You're not doing what you're supposed to do, and that gives you a reason to do these type of things or behave this type of way. I would be a lovey-dovey those talks, but it was too few days of not being attentive of having a depressive episode to spark another talk and issue. Edit number 4: I have been diagnosed with severe depression. Seems to be a case for a lot of men these days in the West, not self-diagnosed, okay, medical diagnosed. Thought that might be very important for the context. Wow, I really did not expect this to blow up the way it did. I'm sorry I can't respond to you all, but I want to thank everybody for thoughts and stories. So it had 9.2k upvotes and about 3k comments. So what I'm going to do is briefly just go through the first few comments to share it so we can see what people's opinions were already at this point. Jumping Hippo says she's already gone. Do yourself a favor and close the door behind her. That's a typical male advice, male piece of advice. Big Pound says sounds like she has been gone for some time. Like I said, having multiple options, just having you there for funsies, or just for the sake that she's not alone. Jealous Male says being with the same partner from the age of 18 entering your 30s usually never works out. I'm a firm believer your early 20s are to explore and figure out what you like and what in life. Well, yeah, I mean, it's exceptional that people in relationships that start off from their teenage years end up in their 30s, 40s, or 50s. I've heard a lot of people actually going through breakups at some point, mid 30s or even late 30s, because they will admit that the person they were at their late teens was not the same. It's not the same person as they are now because their interests and their passions and what they want out of life changes and develops. And you did grow together, but at some point you also grow as an individual, separate from the relationship. And the basis that formed the relationship might not be enough anymore to continue. And I think that's what they're pointing out here. And acrylic vigilante says it also ends up stunting growth of a lot of cases. That's exactly what I said. For most people, if their partner is no longer meeting their needs, they have a conversation and move on. But for someone who's only ever known adult life with a partner, with one single partner, the first one, they don't see a life outside it. A lot of times they don't even know how to do basic life tasks without their spouse, like renting the apartment or setting up the house in their home. So even if they're miserable, they think they have to stay, and they come to resent their life because they have zero other experiences and an entirely different or entirely different people. Yeah, precisely. I think that's why we see so many high school, college age romances ending in cheating instead of just respectful separation. Not that this is an excuse for cheating, but I think people need to take dating in their teens and early 20s less seriously if it doesn't really want to end, because it doesn't really end well. Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty sure about that. Like I said, there is at some point, like, you know what? It's a good way to experience life, but it's definitely not something on to see as a and I mean, it's over romanticizing certain things, or over idolizing the other person in some degree, or being too attached as well, because you're young and inexperienced. It's okay if you want to explore, just break it off with your other person. Opposite Orugula says, and then we'll go to the final one. The loose says that's really all there is here. She was working up the course to dump you. She doesn't care about you at all. But bro, 50k in 2 jobs. What are you doing? Maybe go down one job, go to the community college and work through some things. See if they have networking career. Even the students don't have it happens. It's stumbling in the beats, physical destroying yourself. Well, yeah, that's a point. Yeah, the 2 jobs and the 50k. That's understandable. If it would just be one job, that's a different story. But that makes sense. Um, that would advise him to find and maneuver his way in life and improve himself in that regard first. Maybe also as a distraction. So yeah, we're gonna keep it at that. Oh, now I'm having the snivels. So what I want to do now is basically just want to ask everybody that's still watching. Well, What do you think about this scenario? How would you have dealt with it? What would be your advice to this person? Have you seen and experienced it yourself in your personal private life or your close surroundings? And do you think that this type of behavior is justifiable? And is this person actually to be perceived as a full-fledged narcissist or lazy covert narcissist in his scenario? And how do you deal with these people accordingly if you confront them with their cheating, their misbehavior, their going astray, the infidelity? What is the best way of dealing with them when you're actually when you married? Because that makes it all so more complicated, and all the time you invested in the person is wasted, and the redo, the reset is even the worst part because he came out of a depression. He struggled with depression still during the relationship. Well, I'm pretty sure he's gonna have to deal with it even more after the relationship and after everything is said and done. Let me know in the comment section what you think, and thank you for watching. And I'll be seeing you in the next video.